Utopian is a word that is frequently used by scholars studying the topic universal basic income. In fact, Belgian economist Philippe van Parijs, considered as one of the early thought leaders on the subject of UBI, published an article in 2013 titled "The Universal Basic Income: Why Utopian Thinking Matters and How Sociologists Can Contribute to It." In the paper, which is available from Sage Publications, Parijs presents, in my opinion, many appealing sounding concepts, but upon close examination, they seem quite contradictory. Parijs is adamant about UBI being universal and individual, distributed irrespective of how much income one earns, and irrespective of whether one is willing to work. 3 sentences later, to clarify his claim that his beliefs stem from commitment to freedom and equality, he states, and I quote, "Committed to equality in the sense that this real freedom must not be the preserve of the wealthy, but be distributed, if not equally, which may be counterproductive, at least in such a way that those with least real freedom should have as much of it as possible." If a precept of UBI is that one still has money if one chooses to not work, then the only way that happens is taxing more severely those who do work. Parijs even says, first, there is necessarily a negative substitution effect higher up in the earnings scale, as the marginal rate of tax on incomes above the means threshold will unavoidably increase. Hello, people. This isn't utopia. It's hardworking individuals paying for, I hate to say it, the predominantly lazy to have a lifestyle comparable to those willing to work for it. Parijs goes on to talk about how guaranteed basic income frees the lower income worker to contribute in other ways, or to educate themselves further, and to become more productive because of freedom from a so-called income trap. Seriously, does anyone still really believe that? That's what the U.S. welfare system has been claiming for decades. In his paper, Parijs again throws up Alaska's $1,800 individual stipend as politically sustainable. It's $1,800, folks, not $18,000. It's hardly adequate to support a lifestyle, so I really wished reality-deficient academics would quit making erroneous inferences. During the 2016 campaign, Bernie Sanders reiterated his position that he wanted the U.S. to look more like Scandinavian countries policy-wise. In an interview, George Stephanopoulos said, "I hear the Republican attack ad right now. He wants America to look more like Scandinavia." To which the Bern responded, "What's wrong with that?" Well, Bernie, be honest with your supporters. According to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, Denmark raises an amount of approximately 26% of its GDP through income and payroll taxes, while Norway and Sweden raise 20% and 22% respectively. The U.S., on the other hand, raises an amount equal to about 15% of its GDP through income and payroll taxes. Denmark's top marginal income tax rate is 64.4%. Norway's, Sweden's, and the U.S.'s are about 39, 57, and 47 respectively. Wait, Norway taxes the rich at a lower rate than the U.S., yet generates more revenue as a percentage of GDP? I'm going to tell you the fact that Bernard and the other socialists omit. The Scandinavian countries have a much flatter income tax structure than does the U.S. It's true that while most have a higher marginal rate for the wealthy, it kicks in at a much lower income level. And people who make below average income in those countries pay considerably higher marginal taxes than comparable residents in the U.S. So who in the U.S. would feel the biggest impact if we had Scandinavian policies here? It would be those most screaming for socialistic reforms. Don't take my word for it. Do this research for yourself. Quit listening to the politicians. Examine the real data from credible sources and possibly gain a little enlightenment. Here is my radical thought to make UBI plausible. The U.S. had a $4 trillion budget in 2016. Since the Constitution states provide for the common defense, let's allocate the current $600 billion budget to the military. Let's then say another $400 billion is set aside for FBI and administering the UBI process. Rather than spending 1 red cent on social programs of any kind, disperse the remaining $3 trillion among the 114 million households in the U.S. earning less than $250,000 a year. That's $26,000 to every household. Let the markets decide what survives as a product or service. No federal spending on anything else. UBI could then work with virtually no effect on the current tax structure. I'm Don Owen, signing off on the subject, and I thank you for watching.